everybody. Welcome back to Fragments of Loss, our Rangers of a Broken World series here on Sword and Key. You are here as part of our fifth session into what is intended to be roughly a 12-session series. We're almost at the halfway point, everybody, so wow, it's been great, but you know what's even better than that? We have Sebastian back. Hello, welcome, you lovely bean. You're back. We're all very happy.
Hello.
We're very sad that Abhishek could not be here for longer than the 2 sessions, but we are very happy to have our wonderful Sebastian back. So, quick little bit of upkeep for everyone to make sure we're all on the same page. General content warnings. If you're someone tuning in who is not the best when it comes to different issues related to environmental disaster, themes of loss, death, and kind of the general, not directly, but sort of the lasting consequences of empire and war, this might not necessarily be the series for you. And also, the mechanics of the series do deal heavily with aspects of literal dissociation for our characters. So, with that being the case, if you have a history with any of those topics and you find at any given point that you are not in a state to continue watching, please feel free to step away. No series, no show is ever worth sacrificing any of your mental health for. That being said, I am in a fantastic mood right now as I have many different possibilities for how this session could go, and there are many different things that we're going to have to get into. But before we get into that, we have to remind everyone, number one, that we are technically a charity game. We are actually raising money right now for Trans Lifeline. Given the current regime's continued assaults on trans just livelihood and existence as a whole, not just in the US but across the world, and also just the state of the world being what it is. If you've been keeping abreast of any of the situation, whether it be in LA or anywhere else, things are pretty bad, and folks' mental health are going to be dealing with a lot right now. We were very lucky. Yes, thank you, Marin. Chat motions to everything. We were very lucky during our first session to start with a goal of $100, and people immediately beat it at 350, which left us with a huge pool of potential little ways to influence the game for all of our players. But our players could always use more, because why would you ever, as viewers, not want to cause chaos and mischief and grief from me, the GM, running the game? Really, you should do this. Not even necessarily to support charity and all of that, just to cause me distress. It's quite funny, I've been told. But in all seriousness, if you have the means to donate, please consider doing so. It goes to a great cause. Tiltify definitely puts it forward directly to the causes that we're able to, and we would deeply appreciate it. And I know my players would appreciate all the little perks and incentives. But with that out of the way, let's get into our players. So I'm going to start going clockwise around the overlay from where I am at. So currently, from what I see, it is Gena going first.
Hi, I'm Gina. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Adestia, who also uses she, her pronouns, who is a windswept cavalier, which means that she has a giant cloud elk companion named Ransur.
Ransor's been putting in the work and continuously being used to help carry around your passed out unconscious teammate.
Yes. Most importantly, he was a pillow last session.
That is true. He was a very massive Earth Titan pillow. Uh, Speaking of another individual with the same level of capacity in joy and expression and creativity that they bring to the table, Mirm, you're up.
All these compliments, man. Thank you. My name is Mirm. I use she, they pronouns, and today I'm playing Wea, who uses they, them pronouns, and they are a volcanic tracker, which means that, we like lava, we like tunnels, we like spontaneity. Yeah.
One also might refer to spontaneity as chaos, which Mirm has not at all been enacting with Wea.
What?
Even that response itself embodies chaos. Another embodiment of pure, unfiltered chaos is our own lovely Amber.
Oh, that's me. Hi, my name is Amber, and I use she, they pronouns. And I am playing Azura, who also uses she, they pronouns, and she is a title navigator, aka Big Woman.
Yes, categorically, big woman is the designation for Amber's character. Also, another individual of big personality, big moves, and big welcome back to our fantastic Sebastian.
Yep. Hello, everyone. I'm Sebastian. I use they, them pronouns. I am playing Kildrinith, who also uses they, them pronouns. Kildrinith is a beckoning infiltrator, which means I like shadows, I like stealth, and various other words beginning with S.
I
Whatever's
couldn't
coming
think
in,
of
whatever
anything
just came into your
Wait.
head right now, that's correct.
I love you can tell everybody. It's just like, what's an S word?
The first word that came to mind for me was strangulation, so maybe that's not a good sign for me.
We'll find out, won't we?
Someone in chat, stratosphere.
Yes.
So, with that out of the way, folks, we are going to start. Hello there, Tringo17. Thank you for spreading all the love and positivity in the LGBTQI tag. We are surrounded by a good bunch of people. Thank you for all the good cheer. Thank you for doing that for everyone who around in the tag. So, with all of that preamble out of the way, we are going to get into session 5. Lands tremble and burn.
Oh, that's ominous.
Most of them have been ominous, to be honest. The third session was called Heavens Made to Scream.
Yes, but we figured out why it was screaming.
Wasn't any less ominous.
No, it wasn't. But now we know.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Amber in the chat. Oh no, I saw the title. Well, there you go. So, last our group left off, it had been a few, essentially over the past 2 sessions, the group had been investigating the main lead that they had discovered in the course of dealing with the metallic automata mixed with horrors and ethereal energy entity that they had fought with over in Stageport. They decided to take a trip over to the foothills near the Last Tooth Mountain, the very last remaining mountaintop that exists on Amalta in the wake of the calamity. In the midst of doing so, they attempted to navigate a forest which suddenly set upon them a massive windstorm, which threatened to do a variety of different things, not least of which set a whole bunch of bears and mountain lions oh my on all of them, which thankfully they managed to survive by choosing a route that I was not expecting, which was they managed, through the aid of their companion, Zar, to basically just teleport the source of the disturbance for the judge of the wailing Agrippina to them directly and bind it in an arcane circle. However, in the course of doing that, much scatter was accumulated, and while most of the party decided to do the sensible thing and rest, one of the party members did not. Our fantastic guest decided to look into what this creature could be and discovered a variety of different flashbacks to more scenes of war, conflict, and unrest that had been experienced by Azura and our fantastic guest. And in the course of looking into this and wondering what was going on, the group encountered a demon. Not just a lesser demon, but a demon, a noble demon. The Princess of the North Face. Now, while there was some conversation and some potential deals being made, what was ultimately settled on is that the group does have, for the most part, free passage in dealing with her up the mountain, and for the most part won't be disturbed by anything related to demons on the mountain should they choose to go and pursue and have a conversation with Agrippina up there. But they have lost a party member in the process, as he has unfortunately agreed to be under this noble demon's tutelage and apprenticeship for the sake of obtaining more profane secrets. And that is where the group picks up. However, before we get to the group setting, Keledrineth, I'd like to begin with you. In the course of your encounter with this massive metallic land tortoise shadow entity, you accumulated quite a lot of scatter, and in the course of attempting to put forward your next efforts, you were overwhelmed by the scatter and completely made to go unconscious. But part of the reason that you had gained so much scatter was that you had attempted to use magic to try and change the protocol nature of this being. Now, as it is written in the text for this system, scatter is a moment of leaving your body in a way. It is a form of dissociation in which your sense of self is almost pulled apart from you, and your body requires time to recover and bring you back. And normally you would just come back. But that's not what happens right away. You find yourself drifting amidst dark. It feels like being underneath water. You try and swim, you try and swim, you try and reach the top, but it feels like the equivalent of like if someone had sunk you into a tar pit. It's impossible to really move, and there's a moment where the dark feels all eclipsing. You can still breathe, everything feels fine, it's just things feel like they're starting to close in and then they stop. And you awaken. You awaken to the sound of conflict. You hear catapults being fired, you hear the loosing of crossbows, you hear the clashing of blades, and wherever it is you are, this is not anywhere you really recognize. All that you know is that there are people fighting all around you, and you have no idea what's going on. That is what you awaken to.
I'm going to look around and see if I can find my companions.
You don't see any of them. In fact, the surroundings that you're looking at, none of this looks remotely like Stageport.
Okay. Does it resemble any other kind of visions of battle I have seen previously?
Not ones you directly have seen, but ones that in the most distant frames of your processing you have heard Azura talking about with other people. These glimpses back to a time associated with the last war. And looking around, you see like the faintest bits of what maybe was Rimehold in its prime. But where you currently stand, you realize that you see that you're part of a group that is attempting to make an attack on the Rimehold.
Oh. Well, I'm part of the group. Is anyone, like, noticing that I'm not actually contributing any effort towards this attack yet?
It's seems more like everyone is kind of caught up in the throes of conflict right now, so they're not really
Great.
having the ability to focus on you directly. But you hear some short distance away that metallic clanking noise you've gotten used to. Just
I'm going to look in the direction of where the noise is coming from.
you see almost coming from behind a portion of your group's lines, you see what could best be described as almost a vulture-like entity, but formed entirely of metallic parts. Like, think very like Horizon Zero New Horizon Dawn kind of vibes, like that weird synthesis of like almost like techno-organic kind of elements to it. But you see that this creature like is speaking again in like a robotic sort of voice. It's saying, initiating Bastion Stampede Protocol. Summon murder now.
Oh, Well,
And
that's not great. However, I
and
am glad it's on my side.
yes, you see that there are a small literal murder of like crow like entities very similar in make to this that just take off into the air and begin flying towards the battlements. They are slowly trying to just claw at and bring down aspects of the walls and the buildings. Like you are watching in real time probably a lot of buildings you've passed by in your everyday life and growing up and living in Rimehold. You're seeing the origin of their like desecration and destruction.
Mhm. What can I recall about like what the events of this destruction? Because I'm
It's one
from
of the
there. Like, I don't know if people still talk about it.
I think it's one of those things where like it's fallen into kind of common knowledge, but the specifics you get are that there are folks who refer to the last war as though it were like a clean, easy conflict that happened, but it was a protracted affair. It's the kind of thing where like folks would be like, "Oh yeah, no, it was only like a few months of conflict," or "Oh yeah, no, it was only a few years of conflict," and like the people who were living there are like, it did not feel like a few months of conflict or a few years of conflict. It felt like every part of our lives was defined by it. There is an intensity, and for lack of a better term, there is almost always been, in at least the time that you've lived, a kind of psychic wound that has lingered since the times of that. It's one of those things where it's like, if the calamity hadn't happened, the last war probably would have spread out from Rimehold to just engulf the entire continent. That's how bad it got.
Right. I would like to look and see where the people who are defending Rimehold are.
All right. I think it would be best in that case. How are you trying to approach this problem? Are you trying to avoid being seen by anybody? Are you just trying to like run at it and take care of it and like just see
No,
what
I
you could
think I'm.
find?
This is more of an observational investigation situation assessment, I think.
Okay, then I would say this will come down definitely to a skill roll. And let's get
Hmm.
where's it? Not that one. It's the other one. Hold on, let me pull up the other sheet. There it is. There's my system sheet. Choose which of the facets that you feel is most appropriate for the situation.
Probably
Uh,
understanding.
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Depending on whether or not you want it's about paying attention, could be sensitivity, but understanding sounds like the best call there.
Yeah, I'm trying to get more information and more context about it, so understanding.
Okay, so
Uh, yeah, can I add the key of freedom?
yes, because right now you have no idea what the fuck is going on
Okay,
and why you have. It feels like you've become an enlisted soldier in a war.
yes. Okay, that's 3 dice, I think. Yeah. Okay, that is. I did really. That's a 4, 3, and a 2. So,
No successes on
however,
that one.
yeah. However, I would like to use my risk taker ability, which means that I can take twos as edge successes. I can make this
Ooh,
choice after I've seen the results of a roll. I don't think I used it previously, but I'm going to
I
use it
don't think you
now.
have. Good
Yeah.
call. You will be spotted by someone amongst your side. Someone will take notice of you doing of like trying to get a better look at it.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough. I'm going to do that.
You get closer and you see that there are it's it is an ironclad defense. Like when we talk about what the Rimehold was, what all of this place was before really anything emerged more extensively, the Rimehold was thought of as, and many times, unassailable. Like it's a literal series of walls. We're talking almost like Attack on Titan level esque of kind of defensive like layers of it, protecting the main citadel and a castle. It's it's one of those things where we're at like World War I levels of There's not an actual that much a distance that needs to be covered, but making any headway in it is fucking impossible. All of it is because if there's not if there's not cannon fire, if there's not catapults being launched, there are arrows being fired, there are people who are in the midst of fighting with one another with any of the ground troops happening. Like even just trying to get a look closer puts you at risk of getting hurt.
Right. Ugh.
And it's right around now, near the end of you trying to investigate, that you see you hear someone call out, "Excuse me, are you okay?" And you see an individual come up to you who I don't recall if you were the one to identify, because you have fashion as one of your skill focuses, yeah?
I do, yes.
I think I recalled, yeah. It's the same outfit of the druidic practitioner. It's probably her, actually.
Hmm.
Like she seems like she runs up to you and she's like, "Are you okay? Are you injured? Do you need any care? Can I take care of you in any way?"
No, I'm fine. Are you okay?
"I'm gonna be good. I just need to make sure. Um, I've been trying to take care of the troops as best that I can, but I've also been worried about all of you. People just think because you're machines that no one really needs to care about any of you, but I kind of try and see you as a bit more than that." And
Oh,
as she says that, and you look down at your hands,
I'm not a machine. Am I? Like,
you look down, you see your body is mechanical. It
oh,
has that same makeup that the tortoise had in terms of that mix of steel and like mechanical parts.
huh. Well, does it still look like person shaped?
For the most part, yes.
Okay,
Like you
well,
you you get the sense that whatever you are, you definitely aren't like those things you just saw storming the castle.
yeah, I'm going to thank her and say, well, thank you for acknowledging my personhood, but I'm not a machine. I am, in fact, sapient.
Sorry. I'm still getting used to that. You're sure you're okay?
Yes. Do
If you're
you need help?
I there is another contingent of troops that are pinned down over there, and there is no way I will be able to heal them without risking significant harm to myself. And that in
Ha-
turn will mean a lot of people will not be taken care
okay.
of.
Well, how about we go together? I can maybe cover for you.
Yes. Um, are you okay with me adjusting your current protocols?
Uh, I don't think I need protocols. I'm making decisions and I know what to do. What do you mean?
Well, the current decisions you're making are already based off of the protocols we've established previously.
You know, if it would make things easier for you, go ahead.
Um, initiate full guardian protection protocol, and you find that beginning to move around you, there is almost like an ethereal shroud, very akin to what you saw happening to the tortoise and the other creatures before the group encountered even the panther like creature that you encountered on your
Hmm.
own before. Like
Right. Hmm. Do I think or feel anything different, even if I am observing this shroud situation?
you feel this potent emotional connection to her, and you have this strong sense of like, this is Celis. This is who I need to protect. No matter what happens while this protocol is in effect, I have to protect her.
Okay, so I do feel something in my brain is changing.
It's not it is not like anything forceful or taking away any sort of agency. You just feel this pull to try and protect her.
Okay,
It's more like a strong impulse being encouraged than a direct like you have no control over your body anymore.
okay. Yeah, you know, that's fine. That's actually not as bad as I was expecting.
Yeah, no.
Fascinating.
I
Okay.
again, it's very strange, and you realize as you're moving through this battlefield that like there are arrows flying past.
Mhm.
Some of them land and hit you, and you don't feel pain.
Honestly, great. Do I have anything useful? Like, do I have a big shield? Do I have a big sword? Like, do I have weapons and defenses?
You realize that your part of your body, your arms can actually reform to make weapons.
Oh, okay. Well, that's useful. I don't usually have that many. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to escort her to where she needs to be.
And you make your way over there. There is a group, and constant fire of arrows. There is clashing of blades. As you arrive, someone is stabbed directly and like falls down, and by the time you arrive, look as though they are in critical condition.
Okay. I'm going to ask, her, do I have like a healing protocol you can activate?
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to fully implement those successfully yet. Um, uh, just please protect all of them as best you can. I will see what I can do about him. And you just see like on the ground there is a guy. He looks pretty close to mortally wounded, and she is
Okay.
just like pressing her hands down on his body, and you're watching as it looks as though almost like aspects of the earth itself are rising up to her hands, like a wreath of vines and leaves, and beginning to try and like heal the wounds that happen.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm going to do as she says. I'm going to try and protect her and everybody in this vicinity from this hailstorm of arrows.
This will come down to a skill roll, however you think your character would choose to do so to protect other people. Roll
Yeah,
that.
honestly, well, daring, I will stare death in the face. This is not looking great. So, yeah.
So
Would you say this is an urban ruins
I would say
environment?
this is an
Because I do
urban ruins
have,
environment.
yeah, because I do have survival as well as a
Yes,
skill.
This is survival. This may in fact be the definition of survival.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, great.
But yeah, no, roll was.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know about keys. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna roll the dice for now.
Yep. This will simply be like a tiered success. The extent to which you're able to protect them and stop a certain amount
Yeah.
of
Uh,
of arrows
two,
from coming in.
2, 3, 5, 6.
5, 6. So that's 2 successes.
2 successes.
Okay. As a reminder, you do have auto crits still available.
Yeah, I don't actually know how many I need to get to succeed on this.
It's up to you. It can max out at a total of 4. Everything
Yeah.
else is just like this is a level of mitigating how bad it gets for the people you're trying
Okay,
to
well, yeah,
protect.
in which case, yeah, sure, why not? I'll take another one. I'll take another one out of the
Okay.
pool. Yeah.
So that leaves you with I believe 1 auto crit left.
Yeah,
So
might as well.
that gives you 3 successes.
Yes,
There,
they're here to be spent. Let's do that. Thank you.
yes. There is a moment of like you feel so many different like arrows going toward, like you see them, and it's as though aspects of your body react, and that ethereal shroud around you, you see the tentacles being formed that you'd seen in your normal everyday life when you previously encountered the Taurus, just lash out and stop most of them. But it's as though one of the arrows pierces close to where you presume your neck would be, and it hits a spot that slightly distracts you, and someone gets wounded in the leg. But amidst the, let's say, about 12 different people who've been involved in this group you've been trying to protect, 10 of them get out of there without any difficulty. One of them is the critically wounded person, and one is the person hit in the leg. So for the most part, you managed to protect most of them.
That's not terrible.
Nope. And
Okay.
you manage to take folks back, and you see that there are more groups you see it's just smattering of like one or two different people across different parts of, again, you've lived in Rimehold your entire life, and you know that you normally see this place, what it is, as like long covered with like whole areas outside of like the Rimehold Castle and area proper is just covered with horrors, or being like a field and such that you have to get through. There's no horrors of a magical or emotional wound nature here. It's just the horror of war. There's just
Yeah.
conflict and bloodshed. And I want to ask you, what is going on in Keldrinith's mind right now?
Honestly, I'm wondering if anything I do here will change the events that actually occurred, because I don't really know what's happening in terms of reality, but I do know that this is, like the last war. So I'm trying to do my best and kind of hoping that it would make a difference somehow.
There is a moment where, in the midst of trying to decide what your next course of action is, you see Celis coming from behind you, and you know that she probably should have been going back with their group to finish doing the healing, but she is taking an active risk to come back and try and make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. Was I able to like pull out the arrow?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, in that case, I'm fine. Yeah, thank you. I mean, look, we should get to safety. Come on.
Okay. Sorry. I was just worried about you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, let's go. I'm fine. We can go join the others.
And there is, as you're walking past, as you're running back with her, trying to make sure that she is protected, there is this distinct feeling that I would imagine Keldrinith understands in their everyday body and life, but for whatever reason, it feels foreign to you now. It is this sense of what could best be described as affection, and almost a protectiveness that isn't being motivated by impulse. It's being motivated by a sense of strong emotion. But it
Huh.
feels alien and almost invasive for you.
Weird. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to ignore that.
Yeah. And as you are running back, and as you slowly start to see shadow overtake your senses again, the last thing you hear is her saying, "I'm very grateful to have you here with me, Sarah. I'm very grateful."
Sarah. Okay.
And as you feel shadow and dark take hold of you and your senses, over time you just slowly, with a lot of aching, awaken back in your original body, and you see that there is a camp that has been made up on the edges of a forest. You see the last tooth far off in the distance, but within maybe a day or two's travel. And you see your party a bit of a distance away. The imposing figure of I do not believe you were able to catch our last session, so I get to have the joy of redescribing what the Princess of the North Face looked like to you, which is essentially, imagine like wings made of pure ice and frost that look as though any aspects that are solid and defined are coming out of, like, if you think of the way that like a pane of glass, when it gets cracked, it starts to do that spidery effect. The joints and the wings are made up of that. The actual face of this figure, it looks more like if there are facial features. If you've ever done snow angels, or ever seen people like making like faces or figures in the snow, they feel more like someone kind of carved it out of snow, oddly. And the whole front side of the dress and figure that they have, it looks almost like uh, either a muralist or it's like someone did like a beautiful scenic painting of a mountain face.
Okay, well, I'm looking respectfully.
Unlike people in our chat
Yeah.
who are currently smashing several buttons in order to get to talk about. Okay, fair. Chad is defending himself by saying, "I never said I wasn't wasn't respectful."
Yeah. No, I'm looking respectfully.
You know, you see them walk away with an individual from your party, and you see the rest of your party seemingly just dealing with the aftermath of this individual walking away with someone else who seems to have been traveling with your group.
Okay. Huh, the name Sarah. Have I heard that name before? Sounds familiar.
You would recall, which is me above table telling
Didn't the
folks.
didn't the tortoise lake person have like a message to give to that person?
Yep,
Yes.
it
Okay.
referred to Sarah, designation Sarah, as who it needed to return to at some
Yes.
point in time.
Okay, great. Glad I remembered that correctly. Okay,
Yep.
I'm just gonna keep that in the back of my brain for when it inevitably comes back to bite me. Okay. Okay.
Everyone's so paranoid about my ability to
going
just bring
to-
back terrible things.
Yeah, I'm going to sit up if at all possible.
You're able to.
Great. I'm just gonna be like, hey, did we win?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no. You never win with a demon, Wea.
Okay. I understand that. But we were able to help the deity that had a shadow figure on it. That's what we won.
Okay.
That we
Yes.
did win.
Mhm.
Yes.
What
I'll
happened
agree
to
with
the
you on that one.
what happened to the tortoise thing?
Oh, the tortoise.
Such a
It's
good
gone.
question. Yeah, we were handling a panther in this.
Huh.
So much different than a tortoise.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But I saw a tortoise and you saw a panther.
You saw a tortoise?
What? No, I mean like the mechanical being.
Oh, yeah.
That was so 3 days ago, Keldrinith.
It's been
You
3
need to catch
days.
up.
What the fuck?
Azura, Azura. They've been
I'm trying,
passed out. They've been
I'm trying to
unconscious.
catch up.
I understand you're upset with the choices that Azir made, but we have Keledrenith not passed out, which is huge.
Great.
Huge.
Love
I
that for
agree.
me.
I'm so glad that you're awake.
Thanks.
So the turtle, it's gone. We brought it to the beach to try to examine it, and then she'll go on and tell you that as we met someone named Azir who temporarily joined our party to help, and she puts help in air quotes.
Oh,
And we discovered that there was a spirit attached to the turtle, spirits attached to the turtle that were sort of reliving battles that had happened in the past. And then we Gulliver's traveled it to the beach, and the next day it was gone. And we're like, well, that's weird, but we got other stuff to do.
okay. But the people on the island weren't harmed and the land was okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
there was
great.
minor, if anything.
Aside
Okay,
from
well-
like the end of a pier that got broken
Oh
off
yeah, the
by nature
smashy
of
pier.
Yeah, honestly,
by
they
nature of
can,
That's it. It's
you
fine.
know, they can
It's the
deal with that.
least.
That's
Yep.
actually okay. Like,
Yes, it's the
I
smallest
feel a bit bad
amount.
because they're gonna have to take a while to fix it, but at least there was no lasting damage.
It's still usable. I
I'll
mean,
take that as a win.
Yeah. See? A win. Azura. It's a win. And yes, okay, Azir did help, but it just
he
kind of
also made a
wasn't.
pact with the demon.
I don't know if Azir was in his right mind, if I'm honest.
Well, did he at least get a good deal?
I think so, given the circumstances. It's,
Okay.
you know, he loved researching, and that is what
Okay.
was given.
Well, nice of
So,
him to take one for the team, I suppose.
yeah, yeah. I feel like I also took one for the team, but that's beside the point.
I mean, I also clearly took one for the team. Well, 3 days for the
Yeah.
team. So,
Yeah.
we've all taken one for the team. I think that's just kind of part of what it means to be a team.
Yeah. I also fell unconscious kind of like you did. Not the same though, because I was awake before you. So it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
there's other stuff. I mean, I saw something very familiar personally.
Okay.
So
While you were unconscious, did you have any, say, interesting dreams?
no.
Terrifying visions of wars past? Nothing of that nature?
No, I dreamt about my younger siblings. And we were kind of just like eating together. It was really
Oh,
nice. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. What was that? Wait, I'm so sorry. Can you
You
repeat
know what?
what
Don't worry about it.
huh? We'll talk later?
Yeah, I don't know. I had some very yeah, strange dream of the last war.
Oh. Um did uh I don't know what else to ask. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It
What
was just a
were
bit weird, and I didn't realize it was like a dream until I woke up.
Oh.
what was this dream that you were having?
I was like some kind of organic mech hybrid with designation Sarah, which
Sarah?
the previous,
Sarah.
yes.
Did you have any feelings for Sarah? Like
Not that I could
anger?
not that I could discern. I mean, like I was Sarah, so
Oh, huh?
like that was yeah, I inhabited
Wait, did you
designation
hang on, I'm
Sarah.
getting her name. The
Agnes?
other lady.
No.
Celis?
Ellis.
Celis, yes. Did you did they about Celis?
No, but this Sarah had some level of affection towards Celis, but it felt unnatural.
That's
Because
Anyway,
the turtle. That's what the turtle said.
yes.
The turtle said it failed. It was returning to Sarah. That's
Yeah.
its
Which if that happened, then the
owner?
turtle must have been some kind of remnant of the last war then. Or at least connected to it. So, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really know what to do with this. It could have just been a weird dream.
I think there's too many coincidences for that to be.
Yeah, I wonder if while I was trying to interface with it, some part of it is trying to interface with me. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted in case it happens again.
Yeah, I would love that. Hmm. Um,
Could I, while this is happening,
Yes. I
you
was
know,
wondering what Adestia was thinking amidst all of this.
she was making coffee. That's what she was doing. Um,
I'm nothing without my coffee.
Wait, so it's
uh,
morning?
yes.
yeah, I
It
believe
was
so.
like,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
great.
morning.
We just got
Excellent
up.
timing.
So,
Excellent timing.
she's been making coffee. But while this is happening and Kildrenith is talking, could I try to make an assessment as to whether anything has changed or seems off about Kildrenith?
You know what? That's fair. You may do so. Choose a skill and a facet to roll with.
I'm assuming this is sensitivity, which is real bad on her part.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
know, I know.
Let's see. That's one. I have a humanities skill. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I-
I'm not a actually sure
It,
what
it,
that
it
skill is.
does, but, and I don't mean this with any offense, but you have a humanity skill?
I have a human. It's one of my default skills.
Oh, right, right,
Oh,
right.
Oh, it
That's
comes
true.
with your
default.
class. Oh, but you're saying you wouldn't otherwise have it.
I wouldn't otherwise have it.
If
Oh,
it
that's
I
weren't
fine.
understand.
for
I understand humans to an extent, but not willingly.
It's like in the anthropological sense.
Like everything I know about humans, I've learned against my will.
Accurate.
All
But
right.
yes, you may roll.
All right, that's 2. 2 die. Okay, weirdly enough, they're both 6s.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
congratulations.
Yay.
So here's the main thing. I'm gonna double check what range of success that was. That was average success, so I'll give you average information on that one. You don't detect anything noticeably different physically Caladrinus, about Caladrinus at all. The most you might feel, given your particular affinity for like healing in the forest and such, that I would say like in a given area where a ranger is specialized, that their affinity for magic is a little bit. I think it makes sense to me to imagine the world because your magic you have a particular set of magic that gets amplified in a given terrain, that your sensitivity to certain things is a bit stronger. You get the sense based off of what they said previously, that it's like when they attempted to sort of interface with the protocols, that likely what they said is what happened, that it's almost like they took on an aspect
Mm.
into their sense of self that, while scattered, sort of, it didn't take control, but it was more like they joined in the like as a co-pilot. And given what your group has seemingly come to understand so far about the shroud that accompanies these mechanical beings, these automatons, it's likely that they somehow found themselves within a memory and
Mm.
in a much more direct capacity than the rest of you, who have more just sort of experienced it, kind of still more like just passing by. They got the like interactive experience, whereas everyone else has had sort of the tourist view of it.
Okay. Like, would I get a sense that any of that is still sticking to Keldrenith, or this is
It, I would say, both above table and in the nature of the story, what you have the sense of is that it's because of the unique confluence of factors of being fully scattered and having interfaced with the being. Simply interfacing doesn't automatically mean that will happen, but it's the fact that they had full scatter and had interfaced with it that was like, there is a self just floating out here. It's going to go to the next closest thing that it can do, and that was the closest thing you had an attachment to. So it's more one of those.
I'm
Also
gonna keep
above table, it was my convenient way of just
Yeah.
arguing for Sebastian to be out for 2
Yeah.
weeks.
I will keep
But for the nature of the story, you do have the sense that it's specifically the fact that they were fully scattered and interphased and passed out near them. That's sort of it had to be a unique set of factors to cause that.
I'll keep that to myself for now.
Yeah. I like to try and provide a cool narrative
Yeah.
reason for
Are
why you're
you-
actually gone to.
Yeah, I mean, Keldrenith did kind of suspect about the whole interface situation, but I don't think they've cloaked that it's about scatter. So while you're doing this, Adesti, are you looking like particularly intense or anything?
I think it's one of those things where it's like, she's just kind of probably just like squinting in your direction, but also y'all are talking in a group without her. So
Yeah. Okay, so I probably wouldn't notice in that case. Yeah, but I've just said that, yeah, okay, I'll keep you posted in case it happens again. Now, you said you had other things to deal with.
So the panther had a name, Agnes,
Okay.
and it seems as though that the panther holds others' memories. Maybe? And so the two that I remember seeing is there was a whirlpool around an archipelago. which like because what I kind of recognize is that when I met my deity for the first time, I had to go down underground where lava kind of creates tunnels. But that particular tunnel had a bunch of weapons in it. Um, so kind of not great.
I
I would
see.
like to make sure that no one can take those weapons for whatever reason.
Yep,
So
You
I can
would
get
you would
behind that.
you would have the information right now based off of what Wea has, is just to make sure everyone's on the same page, that both the Altar Islands and the Coral Coast in general, specifically the Boiling Hills, have something that might be affecting them at this current point in time. And also there's still the possibility, if you did want to try and convene with Agrippina, even though none of you have a deific connection to them, you could try and do so. That's if you still want to go to the mountain. I don't know why you don't need to go to the mountain anymore, but I know players well enough to know that you might still just go do something even though you don't have anything specifically tied to it. So I planned for that possibility as well.
wait,
It's really a matter of what lead do you want to try and follow up on next?
I'd personally like to go to the Coral Coast just because that's where my family is, and um,
Oh, can we meet your family?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of us. We will feed you good food and stuff.
You know
You'll
what?
get
Yeah, say no more. Done. I'm excited to meet your family.
Great! Okay, great.
All right.
Azura loves the thought of being at the coast and not in these weird tree places.
Yeah. Woo.
Dura doesn't understand what a forest is.
Why are there so many trees here?
Honestly, well, Kildrenit is just really hungry at this point because they've been asleep for like 3 days. So the
Yeah.
prospect of food sounds great, actually.
I would say that there is probably the innkeeper probably would have been able to leave you with a couple things of food as well from stage port, and one of the things you would have had saved in little tiffins would have been a hearty chicken and rice porridge seasoned with garlic, ginger, and fish sauce.
Hell yeah.
For anyone curious about that, it's arroz caldo. If you ask which version of it is, yes.
It's just all of them at
Yeah.
once.
Okay,
Don't
well,
worry
I'm
about
gonna
it.
eat that because it's
just
breakfast time
yummy.
and I just woke up. So yeah, I'm gonna eat
Yes.
that.
Yeah, it is definitely one of those, and it's very much. You have a couple of days to make it over to the Coral Coast, and for the most part, I would like someone to roll essentially to determine what information you pick up along the way throughout your travels, whether it's gossip or other investigative means. If you get 2 successes, I'll give you 1 story. If you get 3, I'll give you 2 stories. And if you get 4, I'll give you 3.
Yeah. Someone who isn't me should do it because I've rolled several times previously.
I do have a key that could work, so I could get more dice to use. If
Yeah,
that
go for
works
it.
for other folks. I'm guessing understanding. Okay. Would I be able to ask for, or would I be able to ask to use the spirits skill? Or no?
Are you trying to convene with the spirits to get information?
Yeah.
Oh! I love that. That's creative. Take it.
Yeah. And then I'd like to use the key knowledge.
Oh,
Obviously, yeah.
yeah. You good, bro.
Yeah.
I've Mirm, you have some of the best like queer broy energy I've ever encountered in a table.
you.
Someone at my table.
Yeah.
I'm just like bruh, but make it really gay.
Yeah. So fun thing, I rolled 1 success. I rolled
Sorry.
2 3s, a 2, and a 4, and a 5.
We still have Yeah, we still have more.
You still have a couple of crits left over. If you
Thanks
want
to
to
our
spend one
generous
of those.
donors.
Oh, that's true. I think I only
Currently,
have one.
you have one re-roll and 3 crits left.
Oh, okay. Then honestly, mm, I'd like to have 2 stories, so I'm gonna use all of my crits.
You'd like to have 2 stories? Oh no! If you get to 4, it's 3 stories.
Oh, even better.
Okay, so that is going to be all of the crits that Weya has left to get you to 4 successes.
Sorry, everyone.
Nice. Honestly,
So
I love gossip. Very excellent use of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here is what essentially you're.
Wonder if there are rumors about us. That would be cool.
Mine just gay.
That's not a rumor, that's just a
literally
fact.
There. So here are the rumors that you would have available to you. Number 1, the spirits have heard back back near the last tooth, but having felt a disturbance in the air of something exceptionally cold having taken presence on the mountain, like something unnatural. And this coincides with other stories you've been hearing about sightings of something massive, winged, and scaled.
Okay, so that's just we met them.
I was gonna say, once again, I'm looking for this thing respectfully, but we'll see.
Yes.
Number 2, you have heard accounts that there have been ships near the Altar Islands that had been facing an ongoing crisis. That the Altar world itself, that is said to form the mouth to reach the archipelago where Tidal Augustine is, it's a hazard, but it's something that people actively take on. There have been an increase in storms happening recently, and something has been causing a disturbance in the area that has been making any form of traversal by sea nearly impossible. Like, it's normally quite difficult to try and sail those seas as it is. Now it's becoming like an impossible task to try and get through there. That's the second thing. The third thing specific to the Coral Coast that you've been hearing is that people have been discussing somewhere near the Boiling Hills, which is a low domed volcanic mountain range deep in the jungle of the Coral Coast, that there have been reports of a massive crystalline lizard. Not the one you are familiar with, though.
Yeah.
Something else.
Hmm.
And accompanying the sightings of this massive lizard had been an increase in seismic activity in the area. Those are the things that you gain in the process of travel. Every time Gena looks with that expression, I'm just always like, what are you planning? Is all the vibe I get from that expression.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I stop me if you can. Some bit of travel time, but after a few days, you make it to, I'll say, you arrive on the Coral Coast, probably closer to where, let's see, which, you arrive here, I'll put it to you at Hushwave City, home to the continent's greatest botanical laboratory and located on the southeastern section of the Coral Coast. The specific headquarters for the volcanic trackers and the most up-to-date cartography related to the jungle is at the Checkerboard Lounge. That is where you find yourselves arriving. But rather than expand on how it's just written sort of in the book, I actually want to leave it up to Weya. What is Weya's experience of like coming home? What does home look like for you?
Yeah. So it's very it's not like the village that I grew up in. So my village was very much like just living on the coast, being surrounded by ocean, but this has more infrastructure than it does back home. There are buildings like the headquarters, for the volcanic trackers like myself, and um, the cartography that I frequent every time I have to leave uh, to go inland at all, just because everything is changing all the time. Um, I think on every on every street, you'll find at least one food vendor for any number of dishes and delicacies from the ocean or from uh, our vegetation. Um, there's cooked food, and there's just kind of you see people holding kind of like long palm leaves and are like trying to swat flies away from freshly caught fish. Um, but there is just kind of like this musicality that you kind of like hear from just all the people kind of around, and um, everyone's attunement to um, music and things.
You
Nice. Good
a lot of
vibe.
music, and I will say currently you also are probably spotting a great number of kids who are running around the area, specifically because you mentioned the thing about swatting flies away. Some of the kids are not following through on their responsibilities, and they're
Yeah.
trying to swat each other
Yeah.
with all of the implements they have to keep the flies away. And there's
Yeah.
definitely like a grandma and a mom just sort of like yelling at the kids and be like, "Hey, stop doing that!
Yeah.
Keep it off of the fish!" Just like that kind of like energy happening every now and then. And I'll describe it as definitely using the mom voice. If
Yeah.
you know what the mom voice is, if you don't know what the mom voice is, yes, you do. You know what the mom voice is. If anytime you've ever had your parent use your full name, that is the mom voice.
Yeah.
The voice that tells you you're about to be in some deep shit if you're not here in less than half a second. But yeah, no, there is a great host of different people here. And I will say let's go with the checkerboard lounge is I will say there are a lot of different festivals, and folks around here find any occasion to just celebrate and not necessarily party, but definitely have a good time.
Mm.
And let's see, what food are we going with? You definitely see a very let's go with kind of stocky, built, extremely tanned like tank of a woman, just sort of at a at the front of the lounge, sort of like what would count as like a desk, but a lot of this area is kind of more open than like a closed lodge kind of feeling. It's less mountain cabin and much more something that it would be like out in the aisles. And you definitely see that she's in the middle of like eating through a soup that you distinctly smell a lot of and see a lot of things like eggplant, bitter melon, okra, fermented seafood, and a lot of different vegetables being cooked in it. And she just kind of has a look of like, please kill me now. Please don't tell me you have something you want as well when she sees the four of you coming up.
And so this is the checkerboard lounge.
Yes, this is the checkerboard lounge.
Yeah,
Give
I'm
me
gonna let
the-
Waya take the lead on this.
Yeah.
I
Because
just
I'm just
go,
I come looking at like I very much have like this kind of hungry look in my eyes because I can smell this delicious food. So I'm just like, yeah.
I kind of change a tiny bit, not much. But I just go up, I sunga, my sunga, and I try to like, make them feel like I am meant to be here. Which
you
just a greeting and then how are you is what
yeah
I said. So
yeah sort of she has that look initially of like she doesn't see you initially, she's just like still looking at her food, and she starts to have the expression on her face of like, oh man, who the hell is this fucker like
yeah,
coming up here, and then she sees it's not a tourist, and more importantly she sees someone who has the signs of a tracker, and it's
yeah,
just like, oh thank the gods, oh thank Oh, thank the volcanic one below and above. It's not a
Yes.
tourist. Hello.
Ah.
Hello to all of you. I do not know who any of you are, but you have the makings of a tracker. Therefore I'm pretty certain you won't piss me off. Hello.
It's debatable, but that's me and my parents talking, you know what I'm saying? You know how parents are. Um, I heard some stuff around here. If that's I don't know if it's true or not, so I was hoping to talk to you about it to see if you
What have you
know.
heard? What have you heard?
Um, there's a lot of stuff going on under the earth. You know what I'm saying?
The
Like
Earth, huh?
oh yeah, like it's like kind of like shaking and stuff. Not I don't know if they're full
Like
blown earthquake.
dancing, kind of
Not like
shaking, or
this.
what
No, no,
kind
no,
of?
no, no, no. Not the Siva. The Siva does bring a lot of shaking, but I'm talking about like there's something below this place right now that's moving, maybe. Um,
You full of it? You trying to sound like you're full of it or something?
no. If you want me to dance, I'll dance later, and I'll go to the hall
No,
to
no,
make
no,
sure.
no, no, no. We don't entertain things that you know I will win in anyways.
Oh, yo. Okay, so I heard that there is a lot of maybe earthquakes going on around here.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yo,
okay. Now, okay,
yo.
okay. Listen here, listen here, listen here.
Oh, what?
You come here, come here, and like sort of like pulls you
Yeah,
close,
yeah, yeah.
like has big like big like auntie like kind of
Yes.
vibes. Like here, you come here, you come here.
I kind of
Here,
like wave
you
them to be like, just stay back there. I'm gonna
yeah.
go
Here,
forward.
you listen to old Salamasina. Here, come here.
Ayo, ayo,
You know.
Sina,
I like that. You can call me
Sina.
Sina. You got that.
Ayo.
Oh,
Yes. Okay.
okay. So there have been a lot of quakes lately.
Nice.
We've
Yeah.
been we've been trying not to worry people, but we feel like something
Mm.
is riling up the earth, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Mm.
Just a little bit. But it's noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the a lot of the other trackers don't think it's too big a deal. It might just be, seafing. They get kind of
Ay,
they
yes.
do what they want, but
Yo.
it does what what it wants. But
Yes.
this seems a little bit more than just it doing what it wants. Some of the tunnels we used to use that are already
Yo.
buried.
Ah.
Like and not like the usual way where it's like, oh yeah, lava like there's some little bits of out of lava, like a one or two paths are kind of closed off kind of thing.
Yo.
No. This is like a whole section is just gone.
Ice. What does it? I feel like
It's
that's
not
not
good.
nature. That's what that's
That's
not.
not nature. That's not
It's
nature.
not. No, no.
No,
Do
no, no, no.
you There's also I heard a lot of stuff. I just came from the Last Tooth Mountains, all the way over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard a lot of stuff on the way over.
Oh
So
yeah, I
there's
heard some stuff too. I heard somebody saying they have a dragon over there.
maybe I didn't go in the mountains, so I like to stay underground. But you know that. You know that.
I know
Um,
this. I know this.
so what is this about a lizard? What is that?
You know that seafin can be a lizard, right? What kind of
I
lizard we
it's
talking?
I've met the one and only, They live and they exist.
You met the lizard?
I
You're still alive after you met the
I
lizard? Like in
I
person?
I have some burns on my leg because I got caught in a little hole on the
Okay,
way,
okay. I
but
respect
you
you
know.
that much more now. Okay.
I
On, okay, Sina is gonna treat you a lot nicer now. Okay,
Ay,
so
yo, that's right. So there's been another kind of lizard around. That's what I heard because I know what seafood is like, and they
hmm
are
like
what.
not like a crocodile or anything like that,
No,
right?
it's a different kind, and it's very rocky, with all the crystals on it. You know?
But not red crystals. As far as you
No,
know from the information you got, it's not red
it's
crystals.
not
Like it's
red.
just Like they're different, like random shades and hues and such stuff that doesn't make sense to be here.
It's not from around here. You say you know that we have the red around here. It's not red. It's other. And so it's not from here, and it's not Seething. It's not. I don't know. Who would I need to talk to see if that is true? Should I go to the headquarters or should I go inside to the cartographers?
No. If you go inside to the cartographers, they'll talk to you for the entire day and they won't tell you anything. Don't worry about this.
That's
I'll get you the one that you need.
That's
Lono!
No, sorry.
Lono! Just
Ayo.
like the most, like, if any of you has ever had your mom yell at you or like call out your name, like the most mom voice
Yep.
you've ever heard suddenly bellows out of this woman
Yep.
to a degree, to an intensity you have not heard before. And it's very sudden. Like she's just been kind of like gently whispering and calling, and so like it's very startling for anyone else who's just sort of been in the area. And there are like at least 5 people in the surrounding area who straighten up immediately when they hear her like talking
Yes.
the voice.
Yes.
And you see like a very like fresh-faced, youthful individual just come up. Like he definitely has the look of some, if someone could embody like a level 1 adventurer, he has that look on his face. Like he definitely looks like everyone else around here, you know, like kind of a bigger build. He's got the deep brown, like with reddish undertones to the skin and everything, but he has a very like fresh-faced kind of like he's big baby face kind of vibes, like kind of
Yep.
big puffy cheek kind of things. Like he's probably in his like mid-20s, but he still looks like he's like 17 or something.
Yep.
Oh
just like-
dear.
It's just like, what's going on, Auntie Sina? No. You see this one right here? And he's like, yeah. So you're gonna help them.
Ay,
It's like, what? But I have other things I gotta do. I got other stuff with the cartographers. You don't. No. You don't deal with the cartographers today. You deal with me today.
yo.
You got that? And he's like, yes, Auntie Sina. It's like, what was that? He's like, yes, Auntie Sina. It's like, good. I like it when the boy listens.
They don't do
So-
it often, so you have to, you know.
It takes a little bit to get them in order. Don't
Yep.
worry.
Ew.
And then you just see the boy just sort of has this look of like, please don't burn me in front of a guest. I don't deserve
Already done,
this.
Sally. Already done.
It's like, you're gonna give them a map and you're gonna tell them everything that you know about any other sightings you've heard about the lizard. He's like, well, what lizard? The lizard. You don't mean that lizard, right? The lizard. Oh, okay. By the way, do the rest of you need food? And he just sort of like addresses Adestia,
Thank
Azura,
fuck.
and
Yes.
Teledrinus.
Ah,
I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. What have you got?
So,
One of everything, actually. Don't worry, we can pay for it somehow.
sort of like looks over at Wea, like looks at Teledrinus, looks over at Wea. I like this one.
yes, it's a good one to like. It is.
Like points over at Azura. What's your story? Do you like to eat?
Yeah. I have no qualms with eating.
That you see, a big woman just like you, Sina. Ayo. Loves to eat. Ay, Sally.
Mm. And sort of like, she's not a very tall woman, but also most people are taller than Adestia. She's only like 5'5", so she's kind of looking down. And what about you? What's your story?
Like a bird.
Does that mean you're just gonna like throw it up right afterwards and give it
No.
to your young? What does that mean?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm asking you, so I'm worrying about it. You have to
I
tell me.
Don't worry about
Sina. She's. It takes a while to work with Adestia. It's okay. I make sure she doesn't eat. I eat it instead. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
I'm watching you, and was like looking at Adestia, and like probably now takes note of Ransor and is like, "Is that one with you?"
He's with me. Don't worry about him.
You, the tiny one, you can ride that one?
Better than the rest of us. I say that.
Is like still like looking at you, like still not sure how to believe this.
Don't worry
Okay, I
about it.
like you. I like you more now.
Hey,
Shh, don't worry about
You
it.
have skill.
Oh,
Anyways,
just,
let's go.
yeah.
I will say she does bring out what effectively is kind of like a bao type bun that is
Oh,
filled with pork, onions,
Yes.
garlic, and herbs, and brings two varieties. One that you can tell by just how fucking hot it is must have been very freshly fried, and the other one, the set that has been steamed. And it looks as though they kind of been steamed in a container that had like coconut leaves in it and such, or like coconut shavings and such. So it kind of has an overtone smell of coconut throughout the entire process of eating it.
It's a good time. It's keke pua'a. It's good. It's good. Eat as many as you want.
dangerous thing to say.
Mm.
Don't mind.
Entire time y'all are eating, Sina is just looking lovingly at Keladrinith, like devouring however many
Right.
you are.
Yeah, I'm just putting it away. I think while we're eating, I just want to kind of nudge Adesti and be like, just a tip. The more you say don't worry about it, the more people are gonna worry about it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, okay. If that's your intent.
Fine by me.
Something that got me. It's just the frankness Gina said it with.
Can I mark off
Sorry.
honesty for that?
Yeah, you know what? Take honesty, because that was just funny.
Hell yeah.
Listen, we interpret things rules as written, uh, rules as fun, and rules as funny. What are the rules? Is rules as funny, or rules for humor? But so while you're sitting down, Lona is able to break down that there have been a few different sightings of this creature, whatever it is, and again, always accompanied by some sort of seismic activity wherever it goes. And the most notable sightings have either been in the Boiling Hills, which would require going deeper into the jungle, or it would have to be heading southeast of Hushwave City, near the archipelago of volcanic islands that are effectively have steep sides that effectively they act as sort of their own valley of volcanic islands. Those have been the two primary locations that this creature has been sighted. So it's a matter of like
And
having to make your way through either set of those to figure out where it is.
and the archipelago that we saw in the memories, is
Different
that
one.
this
This
it's
one,
different?
that one is in the Altar Islands.
Got it. Okay.
Basically, this is your GM's way of saying, I will take you through terrains that every single one of you specialize in at some point or another.
Yeah. Okay. Um,
But yeah, as it stands, you have a couple different options from here on out. The person most trained to handle a lot of the jungle area is Wea, and then it's a matter of just seeing once you get past it what you can find while roaming through all of it.
do we have to go through the jungle to get to the archipelago going southeast?
You could probably stick closer to the coast and probably end up there. If you head towards the archipelago, you could make a detour through Hushwave City and see if there's anything else that the folks who are there know about anything that you've encountered. So that's one possibility. The Boiling Hills would probably be closer as a thing that you could investigate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of, do you want to go closer but have less information to work with? And again, you would have to go deep into the jungle, or do you want to take the longer trip that would require you to get in order to get to the islands, but you can make a detour to somewhere that, again, Hushwave City has the world. It has a whole bunch of different learning centers, universities focused on science and the arts, and definitely a lot of different ways of studying the natural world. So you could get more information on really anything that you have questions about that you've encountered so far, but it would take a longer time. So if there is a concern about a threat that's growing in any of these areas, you're risking it getting worse before you get there. So the choice is up to the group.
I'm personally leaning to information because I can't help soon through the jungle and use all my stuff because I'm not making it for the second half of the session.
Yeah, so
So-
we can do information and then do jungle when you're back.
Speaking as a Destia, she would rather know as much as possible before going into any unfamiliar.
And Azura hates trees. So
Yeah, putting that off as long as possible.
But isn't paper just trees reimagined?
dead trees.
So you love a furniture enthusiast because it's just made of the corpses of trees.
That's why she likes boats.
Yeah.
She goes in,
What's
she goes
more-
in,
What's more metal than the corpses of thousands of trees making a ship?
and on that note, on that corpse-ridden note,
Yeah.
that is where we're going to take a break. We're going to say for right now goodbye to Mirm, because Mirm is not going to be able to be here for the second half, but we have a decision for where the group is going to head to for the second half, and we are going to get into that when we come back in about 10 minutes, folks. So we'll see you then in about 10 minutes. Hello there, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Fragments of Loss, our Rangers of a Broken World series here on Sword and Key. Last we left off, our group was caught in the middle of trying to decide where their next bit of venturing would be occurring, which lead they wanted to follow up on, and given that sadly Mirm will not be able to be here for the second half of the story for this session, we decided to plan ahead of that, and the group has decided to head off over towards the southeast coast, towards an archipelago of volcanic islands that exist with steep sides that are kind of given the name of a valley. Not a true valley, but kind of their own form of a valley. I'm very picky about valleys, given that my family's from mountains and such. But anyways, with that being said, the group does have a bit of time here, a night or two, to rest in the checkerboard lounge. And while their teammate Wea is taking some time to go off and dance with Auntie Sina, the rest of the party has a night to just relax, chill out. If you also wanted to dance, you are more than welcome to join the dancing festivities.
Yeah, I am definitely down to dance.
Azura as well. She's
I
a
have-
dancing queen.
I have performance as a skill.
You are welcome to just roll just to see how well you get into people's good graces here.
Yeah, I would like to do that actually. Can I also use my bravado key?
You have bravado. Yes,
Yes.
please, by all means, make
I
use
just
of
thought
bravado.
it would be it's like my favorite one.
It's a really good motive to have for a key.
Yeah. Okay. Come on. In theory, this should be good. Ooh,
Is
that's
this
good.
the kind of dancing where you would need a dance partner?
It's probably leaving room for individual and also group dancing as well.
I got
Azura
two-
will
Go ahead.
offer their hands to Keldrineth.
Oh yeah,
in a-
we'll dance. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Good to do that. Well, I got 2 5s and a 6, so
Yeah,
Ooh,
it goes
good.
over very
we're
well.
so good. Like, honestly, I kind of want this to be a situation where we're like dancing in the middle and everyone is like in a circle around us, like cheering and stuff. That could be
I
great.
definitely think that that is the vibe with how well you rolled. That is
Yeah,
big energy.
it's
There is
ridiculous.
definitely, you have Auntie Cena cheering you on by the end of the night.
Yes.
And like most people you overhear most people saying it's like, why doesn't she doesn't do that for most people. She doesn't do that for a lot of people. You did real good over there. And there is definitely at least a couple of there's a couple of people of various genders who kind of come up talking to Auntie Cena, and you just kind of see Auntie Cena not actually slap them, but give them an expression of like, if you don't cut it out right now, I'm about to slap you. And you saw that I would say that probably at least Azura noticed that a couple of the people who came up and got that reaction were like pointing at Keladrinith when before that reaction happened.
It's very funny.
Azura will also offer their hands to Adestia to dance.
doing our best strider in the corner.
I am enjoying that. There is definitely one very surly individual in the corner with you. There is a very
It's my corner. Get out.
he was there first.
Doesn't matter. It's my corner now.
There is definitely you would the guy definitely gives you like the dirtiest look as you're trying to say that to him. He has the look of like, why should I leave?
But does he actually leave, or does he just look dissatisfied?
Does Adestia have any reaction to him just mean mugging her the entire time?
She's not moving.
He like eventually like it's it's at least a couple of minutes later, like it's real awkward for those couple of minutes when you're both just standing there and he's just mean mugging you the whole time. Then he eventually just kind of leaves.
Yeah, that's what always happens.
It's like they have no stamina. Folks don't understand. They don't understand true antisocial behavior. But the next morning arrives. You are able to set out for your next location.
That's great. I drank a bunch of like coconut cocktails or what have you, so
You have a hangover the next day for
quite possibly.
Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Roll a d6 for me. Just roll a d6.
Okay.
3
Just
or
a
below,
single-
1 result, 4 and above will be another
A
result.
single d6.
Just a 1d6, just for the hell
1d6.
of it.
That's a 3.
You are definitely hungover.
Oh, okay.
It's
Unfortunate.
it's also one of those you have the hangover where any loud noises cause you a headache.
Yikes.
Well, oh well,
I'm
isn't
so
it the
sorry.
consequences of my actions?
There's definitely people who are out in the morning, like getting some of the fishes for a bunch of fish for some of the dishes, who are like just singing songs to each other. Every
Yeah.
time someone gets to a chorus, you're just like, oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm like super grumpy and I can't even like complain because these people are just going about their lives. So like that makes me even grumpier.
It's like,
Azura sings along with all of them on purpose.
Good. Yeah.
It's a bit of a journey heading over there, but you arrive in Hushwave City.
Okay.
It
Probably
is
along the way I will have just been drinking water and eating bread and it will fix itself by the time we get there.
Yeah, it's definitely there is enough time to sober up. It's not
Yeah.
it's not a comfortable experience, but you
Yeah.
do eventually sober up.
At
But
every
you're-
moment, Azura will offer you coconut water as hydration.
Sure. Tasty.
The coconut taste is not repellent after all of that.
No.
coconut cocktail.
That's what I was wondering.
Coconut's tasty. I mean,
happened to a
Kildrenith
friend of
likes
mine.
coconut.
That happened to a friend of mine.
There is definitely a sense of when you arrive that this sort of city stands out a fair bit from how things have been before, with a lot of the Coral Coast.
Mm.
Whereas a lot of the Coral Coast tends to have that like wild, like tropical rainforest kind of vibe. Here, it's almost like someone was like, no, we are the last bastion of civilization against all of this wild kind of energy of just paved roads, a huge mass of different people. Like the density of people is so much higher here than it was along any of the other parts of the Coral Coast that you've been to. There is a lot of different buildings and universities that just stand as like testaments to knowledge, to wisdom that has been built up for decades upon centuries. This is the kind of thing where even amidst the calamity, even in the aftermath of the calamity, Hushwave City just kind of became one of those places where this is where knowledge came together. This is where people were like, we're going to hold on to everything written and what have you that we can to the highest degrees. The architecture styles seem to be a lot more rigid in kind of the nature they are, whereas a lot of where Wea had taken you with the checkerboard lounge and a lot of other places were had a bit more of openness. Here it's much more tight knit and crunched in. Like even just trying to walk down the streets, there's definitely like you have the New York City kind of problem where you're like you go down the street and there's like, oh sorry, it's like 12 different people potentially running into you at any given moment.
Okay.
But yeah, if there is any sort of information regarding anything you would like to look into, this is probably one of the best spots in the Coral Coast to sort of ask around or try and look for
Okay.
people to talk to.
Is
So-
there any? Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, there's like scientists here, right? It's like scientists, artists, scholars,
Yep, this is
knowledgely people. No,
Yep, this
scholarly
is-
people, I mean.
knowledgey people.
Knowledgey people.
But yes, no, this is literally referred to as like home to the greatest botanical laboratory along all of Amilta. It
Okay.
is the place where basically if you want to have a question about nature answered, probably someone could answer it for you.
I'm wondering if there's someone here that maybe knows about it gets into a little, like metaphysical and spiritual and things, but the natural being of spirits and things like that. How to trap them.
How to trap them, that's what you're interested in?
Yeah, because they're being trapped into these automata. So, how is it being done, and has it been done in the past?
That's a good question.
I would say I need a roll from one of you to see if you can ask around. And this could be by any different methods, whether you have contacts here, whether you just look for gossip, whether you intimidate a nerd on the street by some means to be like, who do I talk to? Like, it
Hey,
is an
you
option.
nerd!
You could do that. but in general, like, whatever method, means of doing it you would like to do, I need somebody to roll to try and determine who you could talk to.
I will happily do that since it was my harebrained idea to try to find a
Yeah,
person
do
who
it.
could do this. I'm gonna use daring,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna stand somewhere where there's a lot of people and just yell out, "What's a guy gotta do to find a spiritologist around here?"
You know what, Amber? Just roll. Just roll for me. Based
Very-
off of your description.
Very interesting approach.
I got no successes.
Oh, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm kind
Oh,
of
no.
unsurprised.
Do you? We have crit
Just-
tools and stuff. Do you
just
want
these-
one?
You know what? I have 2 or 3 rerolls, right?
You
Ooh.
have 3 rerolls and 3 crits available if you'd like to
Okay, so
try
when
that
you
again.
reroll, when you reroll, is it 1 die or your pool of dice?
Each reroll is for 1 die. So
Okay,
if you wanted to reroll 3 dice, for example, you have to spend all 3.
let's reroll 2.
Okay, so reroll 2 of them and let's see what happens.
I got 1 success.
Okay, better.
What do you, yeah. How do you like change up the routine to get the success? Like,
I
I'm
had
kind of
jazz
curious.
yeah.
Just add jazz hands.
Or I smile really big, like.
There is a good 20 minutes that pass after you just shout this out. No one seems to be coming for a bit. And then finally, you have what I could best describe as a very tired looking, what has to be like grad student kind of walk up to you. They have what appear to be they have a shaved cut on both sides with like a long almost kind of like fluffy haired mohawk along the top that's kind of pinkish. Yes, it's very similar to your haircut. But like much more shaved down, like close to like where it almost looks like bald on the sides. And they look as though they've have tattoos of what appear to be on one side a lizard and on the other side a very like beautiful gem. The individual is dressed appropriately for the heat, but they look as though they have a bag that is overflowing with a bunch of like parchment papers and other writing utensils. They look as though they have like 6 books in their arm, and they're just sort of like, listen, I heard what you said, and honestly, I don't know if I can help you that much, but I just kind of feel bad for you kind of asking a question like that. So I figured I might try and come help.
I appreciate that. Can I help you carry? And it just points to all of the things that they're carrying.
You know what? That would be helpful. Here, I I need to get to one of my classes very soon, but I have a few minutes that I can talk.
Azura will offer to walk to the class with them. So Azura will carry the books or the bag or whichever is heavier. And then like we can walk and talk at the same time.
Yeah,
Capable.
whichever thing you take, I want to note this for the record. Azura, they feel heavy for you.
Oh, okay.
For whichever set, and this person is not very tall. This person is like 5'1" max.
Okay.
And they like whatever pain they seem to be showing and struggle they have from how heavy these things are does not seem to correlate at all with how heavy these things actually really are.
Damn, okay. Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna be like, oh, by the way, here's your books back. Just kidding. I'm not gonna.
That also would be funny.
Actually, I changed my mind. You can have these back. Have a great day.
Understandable.
No,
Have a nice day. Like,
yeah.
ugh.
But no, she'll I mean, she'll gesture to Keldrinith and Adestia, like, if you want to come, great. If not, I'll like meet you here. And we'll walk this person to class.
Yeah, I'll come.
Oh,
Why not?
uh,
Yes.
my name is Azura, by the way. And we'll try to
Uh,
like hold the books and like shake this person's hand.
um sort of like shifts several books onto one arm and can tell Z is kind of like drooping a bit, trying to like give you a proper handshake. It's Bia. Pleasure.
Yeah.
Bia. Biya. Bia. Zier for their pronouns.
Zier.
Yeah, Zie Zier.
Yep.
But like is just sort of mildly trying to shift them back afterwards. So
I'm Kildrenith. Don't worry, you don't need to shake my hand when I see them like when I see
Like trying
Z
to like
trying to maneuver it again. I'm just like, no, don't worry. We can skip that step and just be friends. That's okay.
You know I appreciate that, and sort of turns to Adestia as well. And you are
It's like 10 feet up, so you can't even attempt to shake her hand.
because of
Yeah.
the cloud elk.
We gotta establish this every time.
It's just always just the view is like it's like,
Yeah.
hi, I'm Adestia. How's it going?
She just
oh
goes
my
like, Adestia.
Pleasure. Oh, I've never actually seen a cloud elk in person. Is it okay if can I
I guess.
just sort of like gives like a little like a scritch behind this giant cloud elk's ears, and Ransor doesn't seem to have any sort of reaction, but you catch the faintest like beginnings of like a smile, or like hmm. There's sort of a grunt that happens, and it's the closest you think Ransor's ever given to an approval noise. Hmm. Um, so anyways, I don't really know necessarily what specifically you're looking for in regards to spirits. There's
I
sort
I will tell them sort of the light version of what we noticed has been happening. We found an automata that seemed to have spirits inside of it, like trapped inside of it, captured inside of it, and wanted to know like how is this do you have any idea of like how is this kid like how can this happen and has it happened in the past and what are the repercussions of trapping spirits inside of automata?
huh, interesting. Most of my primary focus for a lot of my particular work is more in deific reverence, but I think I might know at least one. There's a couple of professors actually who might be more useful than me. I could see if you could talk to. Um, there is the professor of psychotechnics. There's the professor of psychosomatics, and then there's the professor of psychopompics.
Yes, I definitely know what all of those things are, Ozura says. Um, and who do you think would be available the quickest? Trying to get a efficient start to our day today.
Well, the psychotechnics professor would probably be the hardest to track down. The psychopompics one would probably have the least amount of appointments. Would be the hardest to actually find physically. I never really know where they're actually at any given point.
So you mentioned there's three of them.
Yes.
I want to turn to Azura and be like, so there's three of us.
And three of them. I was
Yeah.
just thinking the same thing.
Right.
Keldrinith. Absolutely. That seems very efficient.
Uh,
Who is the easiest to find?
That would be the person who studies psychosomatics. So so Z would be able to explain further that psychosomatics deals with specifically how emotions. They are all subsets of looking into the phenomenon that is horrors, which seems to be the closest approximation the student has to what you're referencing.
Okay.
But all three of these professors deal with a different subset focus within it. Psychopompic deals with actual communing with them. Psychotechnics deals with manifesting and anchoring certain emotions in a given place.
Mm.
And psychosomatics deals with how wounds last in the body. and how emotions can linger on from both a magical and historical sort of sense.
Interesting.
So they all could have a relevance.
They're all
to what you're
relevant,
talking about,
possibly. Yeah.
but
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
more a matter of which one do you want to talk to, or if you want to talk to all three, you could. It's just a matter. You will get.
I want to talk
different
to all of them.
I feel
just
like
in-
we need to collect the pieces of the Triforce and put together the
Yeah.
yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put
Wait,
together
so
the
which of you gets
psycho.
power, which of you gets wisdom, and which of you gets courage?
Oh, what a great question. I would say power or courage probably for Azura.
I give wisdom to Keladrina.
Quite possibly.
You two
Technically,
can fight. Can fight
Adestia,
over
I think power would be really good for Adestia though. Not like a power in like necessarily like a strong big buff, but power like a inner power. You know what I mean? Like a power of self.
Makes
Ade-
sense.
Adestia is just like, I just don't give a fuck enough to ever be fully scattered on any occasion.
Listen. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. This won't become relevant later at all.
Her entire thing. Don't worry about it. And you're an adult. You make your own choices.
There we go. But yeah, no. If you all want to talk to all of them, you could. It's
I think
just a matter of who you want to
Yeah.
approach.
Sorry. So Z said that the psychotechnics one might be the hardest to
It
find.
might be the hardest to actually get any time with. So it's technics would be the hardest to get time with. Pomp would be the hardest to track down because no one ever knows where the fuck they are because they're communing with spirits, which means they have
Okay.
to go to spooky places at times.
Mm-hmm.
And then psychosomatics is the easiest to track down because they're like they're the equivalent of like whatever's the most popular they're like the pop psychology professor in the sense that like a lot of they talk about a subject that a lot of people are interested in, and so it's gotten popular recently, but
Okay.
it's still
Hmm.
not a fully understood field.
Okay. I'm inclined to go after either psychotechnics or psychosomatic.
I have navigation and spirits as two of my skills, and think that maybe I would be able to find one of the harder to find professors.
You could probably find psychopomp in that case, the actual one who communes with spirits, because you would know which places to look, which would leave psychosomatics the you would be leaving the most popular one to Adestia.
That would probably make sense. Which one's like what is psychosomatics again? Like the
So
actual
it's
field in short?
so technics, how to
Mhm.
manifest an emotion in a physical place magically.
Okay.
Somatics, how wounds remain in a body.
Okay.
Psychopomp, communing with a spirit.
Okay.
So basically, commune, manifest, body wounds.
I feel like
Those
this
are the
works.
3 topics.
I feel like this works out because Adestia was more interested in the wounds one anyway, given her.
Specialty.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so I will happily find psychotechnics in that case.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
So each of you will get to investigate, and now I need to make 3 professor character personalities on the fly. So this will be fun for me. So technics.
Yes.
Or actually, who would like to go first? Let me ask that. Who would like to try and talk with someone first? This is more a matter of the group
Yeah.
above table deciding rather than
Gena, do you want to go?
Sure. Sure.
Okay. Okay. You would be able to look up among some of the rosters and some of the like directories that are available in the current building where Bia is at, and actually see you would find a professor. Yeah, let's go with that. You would find a professor by the name of Professor Josefina Ramirez.
Okay.
So not Josephina, Josefina, so with an I
Yeah.
instead of a J. So Professor Ramirez, so you have a relatively unassuming woman, kind of looks a lot more. I say this more to catch the vibe and vitality than the actual other associations, but the individual is kind of Silver Fox territory.
Mm.
She is she has like think more like kind of like Hollywood, like black and white Hollywood cinema kind of style, like done up hair bun, like, but there's flecks of gray that have gone through it, but still kind of a vibrant brunette kind of color. Definitely some lines along the face, a little bit lighter in skin tone, but probably more from someone who's just not been out than actual, like, reflective of her actual skin color. And definitely, and is walking with a cane and is walking around a classroom and is finishing up a lesson with people. Sort of like, all right, dear. So now, just as a reminder to everyone, make sure to try and get in your work before Friday. I understand that I've been quite lenient with some of you getting it in a little bit after the deadline, but I would like that to please stop. Good habits come from consistency and practice. And I realize many of you are dealing with a lot, and I don't want to be a stress point for any of you, including you, Alexander. And like calls to someone who's just sort of like, just like talking with a friend, like acting as though like he was having a conversation that wasn't being noticed, and she pointed to him without even looking at him. I trust you all to take care of yourselves and to be responsible. I believe in you so that you may believe in yourselves. All of you, have a good day with the rest of your classes. And people get up, shuffle about. Most people are taller than you in general, Adestia, so there's kind of a bit of a shuffling past you, like, ow, ow, oh, just a bunch of people going by. And you see this individual. Ah, yes, how can I help you?
Hello. I'm a ranger. We're part of a group investigating, looking into
Ah,
some problems.
yes. Yes. I've provided some consultation to some of your profession before. What can I help you with, dear?
So we're I, see, this is the problem. Disney's not really paying attention. Like, she doesn't deal with spirits ever. So all of that information that she got earlier possibly was not paying attention that well. She was more concerned with our camp situation. But
You know what, Gina? Because you specified that, I want you to roll me a d6.
okay.
This will be 3 tiers. A 1 or a 2, you barely remember anything. A 3 or a 4, you remember a lot of the general points, but maybe some specifics are missed. And 5 to 6, you remember everything.
The 5.
You remember everything. You
Why
weren't
does
paying
the
attention.
dice?
You do recall it, though there is probably at least a few awkward moments of you being like,
Aiming for a
yeah.
4.
But she's like,
So
oh,
yeah, like she explains, like, the whole like Celis and Sarah thing, and like,
interesting.
it seems that we have like, these mechanical things, and they're like tethered, and they have like spirits, and there seems to be like they're really like emotionally stuck in like the war and like that kind of thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
So we're trying to understand like how,
Hmm.
like, what the nature of this is, because it's not our group has a number of us are familiar with spirits, but this is not really something that we've seen or dealt with before.
That's true. That's true. Hmm. Well, dear, I can't say that I'd be able to give you much information as to how this is happening, but I could give you at least some understanding of why it might be happening, or at least something related to why it might be happening.
That
If
would
you,
be more than welcome. Any information is good information.
well, you see, dear, I suppose the simplest way to break it down would be, have you ever had an incident happen in your life where you felt a great sense of embarrassment or shame about it, and you never quite talked about it with anyone else?
Sure.
Well, essentially, for those of us who study these types of, who look into psychosomatics, we think about the lasting impact such wounds have on people, not in the initial physical per se, but in the stress they put themselves under by choosing not to discuss things. For some people, not talking about a given pain, they get past it and it's uncomfortable, but the stress eventually fades. But for some people, it becomes a point of direct harm. They don't necessarily move past it, they become stuck in those moments. There's pain, there's trauma, there's a sense of embarrassment that becomes something quite more foul.
Like a scar, but not physical.
Yes, it's a scar that at times that's even more painful actually at times than a scar, because the scar can over time do what many wounds that are attended to do. They heal over, they calcify, they become something that, well, still remembered. It's no longer with pain. But if they're not attended to, and it was something that dramatically mattered to somebody, they can turn into something quite foul. And in fact, we who study psychosomatics are often consulted with other rangers when it comes to the nature of what horrors might be happening in an area. While most people don't associate us with that, in a way, it is a matter of dealing with history. We have many interdisciplinary conversations about with our fellow historians, because many of the wounds that all of the regions around here, whether it is the forest, whether it is the mountains, or even our sort of urban environments like here, the earth remembers. It always remembers the pains of what have happened in the past, especially something as terrible as the calamity. And especially, have you told her the parts about the last war mentioned in?
Yes. Vaguely. That one's like broad outline.
If you are speaking of something related to the last war, war is a terrible business, and especially considering the nature of those who were participants in it. One of the first things that my advisor in historical studies told me was that empire often has a habit of believing that its ills are finished when the last conflict is had, when the last bit of territory is ceded or held back or liberated. But most of us who work in our field know, and who are practitioners of history know better. We know that empire has never truly gone until the last person affected by it is healed. Not simply in body, but in mind and in spirit. So, whatever it is that you seemingly are dealing with, something about the last war has stuck with them. Something perhaps that they cannot move on from just yet.
Okay. I think she's gonna take a second to. Do you think like I'm not really sure if the thing that we're looking at is like, a horror and it's like can this happen to something that's like, more like not
Non-human?
yes. Like, we seem to be dealing with something that's like more automaton based, but I'm not really understanding how like what drives them or like what inspirits them, if you know what I mean.
Well, the core thing to remember about any given horror is that they are driven by wounds,
Mm-hmm.
particularly those that are emotional in nature. If something particularly grievous happened, and there was a font of, let's say, theoretically, misery happening at any given place, it would attract them like moss to a flame.
Okay.
Now, again, I know nothing of these automatons you speak of. I'm not particularly well versed in that form of study, but if I had to take a guess, it would sound as though someone is who human or not, has suffered some sort of emotional wound that has not been attended to. That is the core, if I had to make a guess. But again, this is all, even the nature of studying non-human emotional wounds is a very difficult field to sort through. There's a lot of I try not to be harsh towards my fellow colleagues in some of the materials they write, but there's a lot of things that, frankly, were they presented to me now, I would put them into a basket, and then I would take a match, and then I would drop it into the basket and let them burn entirely. If you catch my drift.
I do. Yes.
But I'm sorry if I can't be any more help.
Now you are. This is useful enough to start with at least, and that is better than I was 20 minutes ago, I suppose.
Well, I hope that your journey treats you kindly, and that you know that we are all very grateful for what you do.
Yeah, it's what I'm supposed to be doing, so we are called.
Is that what you want to be doing?
Does anybody really want to be doing anything?
Sounds like
Destia does
Dan.
not tree.
Destia does not dream of labor.
Is that an answer you're hoping that I'll be satisfied with?
I really have got. I don't have time to tell you my entire life story, but
I wasn't asking for your life story. I was simply asking for an answer. That's all. Do you think you'd be required to tell me your story?
it is a long answer, is all.
I have some time before my next class comes into session, should you ever want to chat.
Well, thank you for the offer, but I feel like I don't have time. There are horrors roaming the countryside after all.
Well, whenever you're able to find some time to stop deflecting and engage with whatever you're not wanting to talk about, by all means, I wish you luck. And you just see her going back to shuffling her papers and taking care of things. So you have that information. So that was the psychopomp expert. Who would like to go next?
Amber, do you want to go?
Sure, I can go find the psycho pump professor.
Yes, that was the psychosomatics, so now we get to the psychopomp.
Yes.
You find them in a graveyard.
Oh,
It's a bit of
very
distance
shocking.
away from the actual building that you were initially speaking with Baya. It's definitely a good half-hour walk away of getting through crowds, but you are as we have described, a big woman. So you do kind of part some of the way. And we'll say that there is an individual here. Yes. You would have by talking to a few other students, you get kind of tossed around because there's the half-hour of walk, but there's also an initial 15 minutes of just asking different people who to talk to get that information. And taking into account your one from earlier, you don't necessarily know the right questions to ask to get you there. So it's a good bit of trying to figure out what it is. And you eventually end up getting the name Professor Hari Ramos. Or Ramos, pardon. They are a bit of an odd duck, to put it lightly. And they are often known for wanting to be extremely hands-on with their class and with their students. So there have been, according to a few of the people you've talked to, accounts where Ramos has actually brought in a horror into the classroom to try and have them commune with it. It has not always gone over well, and they have been at risk for being fired at least a few different times because of this direct approach.
It happens to the best of us.
but you would find them. They are an extremely lithe individual. Like they're the definition of like a giraffe, in that they have kind of a
Mm.
longer neck, very pale skin, like deep red tones to their hair. They probably more like mid 40s kind of range.
Okay.
And they definitely have the build of someone who probably should be eating a lot more, and their glasses are very thick. Like there's someone who's probably kept reading well into the night when there is no light but moonlight. But yes, they you do happen to find this individual when they're in the midst of chat of seemingly chatting with a gravestone.
Okay. Um, not trying to sneak or anything, but I just will quietly approach Professor Ramos, not trying to interrupt the conversation that's being had. Um, excuse me, Professor Ramos, I was told I may find you somewhere.
Yes.
I,
What are you interested in,
well,
dear?
I have some questions that I think, I've been told by some students.
Questions. Yes.
Yes, I heard that you, are a professor of great importance. She avoids saying the word because she's forgotten it. She, and she's like, I am a ranger, and I've experienced something in the field unlike any experience I have with
Ah.
spirits.
You who commune with the land and the sea and the forests and the cities. How interesting. How very intriguing. Hello.
Hello. Oh, pardon my manners. My name is Azura.
Pleasure. I'm Hari.
Would you prefer
It's
that I
very
call
nice to
you
meet you.
Hari or Professor Ramos?
Whichever you like, I don't care.
Okay, Hari is faster to say. And so uh, uh Azura will keeping it still sort of vague in case there's any potential
Mm.
danger in sharing all like very specific details, but um lets her know that we've come across, or excuse me, them. Pronouns for
They, he.
Professor?
They, he.
They, he. Okay. They, he.
In this world, none of the professors have quote unquote standard pronouns.
I know. I was like,
The queer stayed in the academics and none of them left. They are like,
I
we are
wrote,
here. You are
yep.
not taking these spots from us.
No, that is okay. I wrote PRN and then wrote a little underline, and then I realized I hadn't filled it in. So explains to them that we found these automata. They seem to have spirits trapped inside of them. It seems to be multiple spirits as there's multiple stories being told. Is this something that is common? Doesn't seem like it is, but I'm not a professor of great esteem. So
Let me think for a moment.
do you need to end your she just does Azura just points at the
Oh,
headstone.
don't worry. They'll still be dead by the time I'm done talking with you.
Okay, great. Just excellent. I just didn't want to make
Don't
anyone
worry. We don't
upset.
bring them back. I'm not that foolish.
Yeah, totally.
Azura chose the weirdest dude to code in the chat.
She's got a weird what Augustine, right? That's the name of my like lesser
Title
deity, right?
Augustine. Yeah.
Yes. I got that weirdo. I got this weirdo. Nothing's new.
So it sounds quite a peculiar situation you found yourself in.
Yes.
It's very strange.
Strange, yes.
Mostly those who commune are more casual messengers. It's more like akin to delivering a letter in terms of how we commune. You send a message, in a way, you commune, and then they send a message back, sometimes through the form of knowledge of magic or of their life, or maybe perhaps a glimpse of their emotions and memories.
So you are a spiritual postal employee, as you will.
I suppose one could put it that crassly if they wanted to.
I did. And so I did.
Well done. I like your gumption.
Thanks.
But the thing is, it is not necessarily a moral quandary, as morals when it comes to the dead are a bit more like guidelines than a hardline rule, like the way that law works. Though one might interpret law a bit wibbly wobbly as well, but that's beside the point. The dead don't normally linger. They don't like to linger. If they do, it's often because something hasn't been addressed. It's often because something has been unmet. Whether it's a personal item has not been attended to, a personal quest has not been done, or someone who they care about has not been attended to in a way that they would find appropriate.
So these spirits, if they're not laid to rest, do they have any sort of output, any sort of energy output?
They wouldn't. One could theoretically try and harness such sentiments, but here is the thing, it's a rather heinous thing to do, because it'd be the equivalent of telling someone who's trying to go to sleep, by the way, we need you for 8 hours of overtime. Don't you realize how terrible that sounds?
Yeah, and I don't think that I would do anything like that myself, but it seems like somebody may have done that.
It sounds very much like that's what you're dealing with. There's a lot of
So,
very unpleasant things that come to mind when you talk about such things. Again, it's for any of these spirits to stay as they were, something has to be harnessing them, or something has to be aggrieved to such a degree that perhaps even the dead themselves are taking pity on whoever is being aggrieved. Because there is a way in which we try and send messages as practitioners of those who commune with the spirits that we never try and actually send out our own full emotions. Because the nature of magic in our world is such that to be magical, to enact the magical, is to break with oneself. And if put it this way, if you put too much of yourself out there, you risk some of it getting lost out in the dust, in the wind. You catch my drift? If you're not supposed to really put you out there. You're supposed to
Azura's having a moment of panic. She's like, "You're not?"
No, here is the thing. Your emotions could influence the means by which you commune with the world around you, but you never want to put too much of yourself out there. You never want to, let's say, put a deep-seated love. You never want to put a memory. You never want to put a wish that you hope to accomplish by the end of your life. Because if you do, well, think about the consequences if that doesn't get to come back to you. Now, to be fair, I don't think you're foolish enough, nor are you remotely capable enough to even do that, because to do such a thing would require a power that's beyond most people who are involved with magical.
Oh, well, that's a relief. Um, so if someone were to harness, say, at least enough spirits to um power a large tortoise automata, how many spirits would you say that would be?
Oh, that would be at least a few dozen, if not more. You would be talking about the equivalent of a small regiment of troops and such attempting, whose sentiments were being pulled on, but such a thing would be heinous to imagine, to be sure. And that's a
I would
rather oddly specific image you've conjured by mentioning the tortoise.
it was the first thing that popped in my head, really.
Fair
Any
enough.
large automata. I'm from I am a ship captain, so like
Ah, yes,
aquatic animals.
you do tend
Yes.
to think of the sea a lot, just like I think of the
Yes.
dead a lot.
Anyway,
That's what pen click got me.
Um, oh, okay. Well, I think, this very hypothetical situation I wanted to bring to your attention. I think this is really good information, and I am very excited to share it with my colleagues. Thank you, Professor Ramos, for your time, and I will let you get back to your conversation. I appreciate you accepting the interruption to speak with me.
Oh, no worries at all. I was simply talking with my husband. He's very chatty. Or at least he was.
Well, I'm gonna just go now. I have a pleasant rest of your day.
Oh, I certainly will. I did love him very much.
I'm glad to hear that. Enjoy your date.
So you have that information now.
That's terrifying.
It's a psychopomp. They're people who literally commune with spirits. They're not going to
Yeah.
be normal.
No, I meant more
Not
of
at
the
all.
dozens of people inside of the
Yeah,
automata, but I
that's
suppose
kind
the
of
professor too.
yeah, that's honestly that is one of the more horrifying parts that you have confirmed now is that this isn't just like one or two people. This is like a bunch of people's feelings getting shoved into an automata. Now, Calidrinus.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna find psychotechnics, whom you said might not have much time.
Yes.
Okay.
It's one of those who put it to you this way, they are at the intersection of engineering and psychological and magical studies with a
Okay,
hint
well,
of
I can get their
history.
interest. I can do it.
Yes. Yes, it does take you a bit to actually it's probably the longest to try and actually get a slot the same day with them. You're probably veering much closer to like early dinner kind of time, like right before
Okay. I
dinner.
mean, I've got tinkering and spirits. I've also got tactics and spirits. We might have something in common.
hmm So you are able to meet with an individual who I will give you the name, who goes by Professor Aurelia Olmos.
Okay.
You see probably 5'7", done back ponytail. It's a mix of kind of like black and almost strawberry blondish hair. There is little flecks of gray throughout it, and the individual just has one of the most sour expressions you have ever seen, and seems less akin to a professor and more akin to a foreman yelling at a bunch of different people on a construction site when you walk into like kind of the department
Is it
of
like a workshop?
psychotechnics. It's much more like a workshop than like an
Okay.
actual like academic department. Like you definitely hear a loud clang sound of something in the distance. You just hear go, "Hey, how much money do you think we have to spare? Drop that again, and I'm suspending you."
I see. Okay. I'm gonna stay clear of all the larger machines and the other people who are working them, especially the people who look like they don't know what they're doing.
There's
There's
definitely
a
some first
very-
years here, so
Yeah,
yes,
there's a
there
very
are
real
couple-
chance I'm going to get injured in this appointment. So, yeah.
Yes, you are in the engineering wing. If
Yes.
anything that I have ever heard about engineers is true, there is at least 1 or 2 explosions happening at any given time in this place.
Yeah. Leave it. Okay.
This
Uh,
tracks.
I'm going to seek this individual who is probably, as you said, wandering around inspecting people's work and grumpy about it. Okay.
Yes, you definitely see, and you also
Yeah.
note that like while this person is dressed very like practically, the bits of like their hands or like their face that you can see from behind a mask do look kind of heavily scarred, like they've probably gone through an accident or two themselves.
Okay.
And she is she does not look particularly in a good mood right now.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I did get an appointment,
You
so
did. It's just like
yeah, I followed the due process and respected the channels of contact. So
yes.
she can be upset, but I did everything right thus far. So yeah, I'm gonna go up to Professor Almos and be like, "Hey, excuse me, it's me, Kildrenith. We had an appointment."
Yes. I do believe you. You actually did what many of my students don't actually properly do, and make an appointment with me, and instead of actually using my office hours. So that's fantastic. It's good to see someone who is what's the word I'm looking for? Competent.
I see. I look around as she says this to be like, "Oh, I hope the students didn't hear that." Like,
There's
did the
definitely
students
one
hear that?
one girl running who's been walking by who just sort of like
Oh, like sort of. Oh,
no, Nancy, not you. God damn it! I'm gonna need to talk to her again.
hmm.
Swear to God. It's never the people who deserve to hear this kind of sentiment who ever hear it.
Yeah, life has a way of inconveniencing like that.
It consistently inconveniences me.
Yes.
I would refer to you as such, but you have gone through the proper channels. Therefore, I'll avoid doing so unless you waste my time. So, what exactly are you interested in? What is it?
Thanks. I have a most fascinating case study to discuss with you. Have you
Eh,
ever met somebody who just look, it's gonna be good. Just bear with me, okay?
okay, what is it?
Have you ever met somebody who has manifested in the flashbacks of times previous in the body of an automata? You are looking at one such person. I have many questions for you, as I am sure you have questions for me. How's that for enticing?
Felix! You just see like a very short-haired individual, and it does not look like it was short by choice. You look at the back part of their head, and you see some of
Oh,
the
it's
hair
like
is probably
singed.
mildly singed.
Mm,
Like this was an accident. This was an accident that happened, and they have learned very quickly to never repeat this. He's like, I'm gonna need you to handle things here. You're one of the few people who I believe in. You're
wow.
great. Make sure no one dies. And if they do, make sure none of the blood happens on our things. Thank you. Come right this way, and just lead you
Great.
to what is just a back nook where it is an office, but it's more equivalent to like the size of a cubicle in an office building.
Okay.
Like sound seems to be not penetrating through here, but it's not very comfortable. Like it's very tight for both of you to sit in here. But
Yeah, I'm
they
getting the impression this is like a repurposed storage closet or something in like the garage. Yeah.
yes, it
Yeah.
is. But she's like, sit down. Okay,
Yep.
so you're gonna tell me that you went into the memories of a automaton?
At least that's what I believe happened. So, an automaton emerged from the ocean. I tried to interface with it, having spoken to somebody else who previously saw it. I got a bit of information about how they worked. I tried to interface with it to override its protocol. And then next thing I know, I was kind of knocked out and I had this dream, I suppose, where I manifested in their memories, and I think that it was them because while I was inside, trying to rewire stuff, they said they had to well, I found that they had to return to someone called Sarah, and then in the dream, someone else addressed me as Sarah. So I was actually hoping that you, in all of your very clear knowledge and expertise, would be able to enlighten me as to the process and the reasoning and
Oh, that's
you know,
well. Okay, these are definitely some odd ones. And like
yeah.
for the first time since you've seen her, she's lost the sour expression and it's just more of like a kind of
I'm
like
trying to
quizzical
appeal
look.
to the quirky special interest side of her brain,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
you've definitely activated the autistic nerd element of the engineering
Yes.
specialist.
Yes.
Well, so here's the thing. Uh, Frankly, I don't even know if you understand what this whole department is about. We're still
I mean, I
relatively new.
I understand enough to know that you are the right person to come to.
Fantastic. You have respect for me. That already makes you good in my book. That's not
Thanks.
something that many people tend to have for me. Anyways, so psychotechnics is about trying to manifest certain kinds of emotions into a material essence of some sort. We tend to refer to this as either as a fulcrum or as like an anchor. So there's a lot of like ones that are more like classically understood. So someone might use like a bed of amber. Someone might try and use like a staff, like the kind of stuff that in history people would look back on and be like, why the hell would you ever try and use these things as a way of like enacting magic? Magic is all around us. It's from the earth and everything itself. Just needless things. But the thing that is fascinating about it is trying to do that in a way that's specifically rooted in emotions. That's kind of the core premise of what psychotechnics tries to do. And specifically in psychotechnics, depending on your subset of field, we have certain overlaps with geological studies. So we tend to look in more current trends at finding whatever sort of rare bits of earth, mineral, gems, crystals, things of those sort that are more sensitive and resonant to magic. They have more of a conductivity to the earth around it. They're already embedded. They have the very nature of the earth as part of what constitutes them, right? So we tend to try and look into seeing how well we can integrate using those base materials to anchor an emotion.
Right.
Now, the phenomenon you're talking about is a rather strange one because it sounds very similar to something that we do here all the time, which is called psychotransference. It's
Yeah.
what
I
we
wasn't
do is,
trying to do it.
but that's the thing, is that this is normally either very intentional or the nature it happens by accident is not the way that you have described. Because when we talk about psychotransference, we are taking someone feeling a given emotion in a current timeline, like a present moment, focusing that down through a magical source into something like a crystal or a jewel or a piece of rock, and then using that to develop further
Oh, okay. As kind of
designs.
like the heart or the nervous system, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
more like we try and use it as a way to then feel further constructs,
So like a
developments, things of that sort.
conduit.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's more, that's probably the more accurate term for it, is a
Okay.
conduit. But the way you're talking about it, it almost sounds like you had a form of psychotransference of putting your own essence in someone else, which has not been discussed very much in our field, because normally to do that, you would have to be interacting with something that could host your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your essence. And
Right.
as far as we know, no one in the current age has ever been able to do that.
Oh.
That's the
Well,
kind of thing that frankly hasn't been seen since the last war. And we've only ever
well,
heard scant accounts of it.
well, funny that you should say that because the vision did indeed take place in the last war. Uh,
when you say vision, like, did you have just scant images, or what
No,
was
no, it
it?
was an experience. I could tell you what was happening. Like I could interact with people, I could talk, they could reply to me.
The expression on her face that you get is the equivalent of like
But I do have
do
another.
of like law of relativity level of paradigm shift to
Oh,
Newtonian
okay.
physics. Like
Yeah,
that's the
so like
kind
the
of thing
equation meme that's like, yeah.
where she's kind of like, this is not, that shouldn't be possible.
Yeah,
That,
but I
as
do
far
have
as we
another.
know, can't be done.
Right, but I do have another question for her then.
Uh-huh.
So you say that we can put our own feelings into automata, but can automata put their feelings into a person?
Well,
Can
well,
it go
well,
the other
well,
way around?
well, here's the thing. It's not so much putting your feelings in an automaton of any kind. It's putting your feelings into a conduit of some kind that then
Okay,
would power an automaton. It would be a
yeah,
source of power for that. So in a way, what we try and do in our field is try and sort of make a functional way of harnessing emotions into a more practical understanding. We know that people
right.
care about this stuff for health and other reasons, but we're interested in the practical pursuit of this.
Yeah,
But
but can
putting
it
it
go
the
the
other
other way,
way,
essentially, is what I'm thinking.
well, honestly, we've never tried because the risks of the scatter related risks of that would be quite
Because the
grave because
sensations that I was feeling were not mine. So,
you described it as the automaton sort of feeling something. Do I
yeah,
have that right?
yeah, it definitely felt affection.
That's strange. We've There's only ever been a few reported cases, but there is the finest level of precedent.
Well, you
The
can add another case to such a report, and
well, thank you. I'll be
yeah,
sure to start writing this up in the midst of all the other work that I have to do. But the thing is,
yeah. Let me know if you like need to interview me for like a research paper or anything,
I will be
just
happy to do so. I will actually credit you, unlike some people who have tried to leave me out of the crediting in some of our fine
that sounds
academic
rude, and it sounds
institutions.
like there's a significant pile of drama behind
It's
that.
I'd rather not bore you with the details. All I know is I was right. Anyways, um,
Fair.
the main takeaway is that for an automaton to begin to develop emotions, it would either need to have been built with the capacity to do so, or something within the nature of its protocols, because most automaton have a given set of directives or functions that they are programmed to enact. But it had to have reached a sort of conclusion with that thinking that led it to develop what we think of akin to as human feelings. And if that's the case, then it could very well have started to attract other things to it, or whether it's ethereal energy or just something else to it by nature of doing that. The nature of emotions is that they're very strong and rooted in the magic of this world anyways. It's a lot of the core reason why folks such as yourself are able to even attune to the earth through a deific sense is that they're often rooted in emotions. But for an automaton to do that, that's honestly a bit worrying, if I'm being direct with you. That would mean that it's
Yeah,
it,
unfortunately, I don't know where the automaton is now. My companion said that it disappeared.
well, if this is something that is not just going to be a one-time thing, then
Oh, I mean, I can let you know if it happens again.
I meant more if you're going to be dealing with any more of these sort of automaton-like
Oh, highly
creatures.
likely. It's kind of our job.
Well, that's comforting. That's very comforting to hear.
Yeah.
But in my professional, very well-researched academic opinion, whatever it is, the nature of this automaton, if it has either acquired some sort of object that is acting as a fulcrum for emotions, or to at least simulate the ability of emotions, or if it is somehow by nature of already having something that lets it channel a kind of pseudo form of emotions that have allowed it to gain access to a glimpse of real emotions, that would mean that it may be a fairly significant being in the development of psychotechnics, but also be quite dangerous, because what it could attract by nature of what it feels could be either very positive or very unpleasant.
Good to know. So is any of this like, okay, so this is all very, very interesting and very important. I have taken note of it. But also, is any of this like actionable?
Well, you would have to remove it. Well, if you're hoping to stop them from this, you would either have to get them to stop feeling the emotion, address any sort of difficulties that come with the emotion, or remove the power source entirely.
Okay, well, addressing the difficulties that come with the emotion is not really my area of expertise. I'm not much of a robot therapist.
I frankly, people seem to think that I am, simply because of the nature of what my field is called, and because of that,
Yes.
I have much more anger issues to deal with in my own time than I would honestly like to be dealing with.
Understandable. I have sympathy for your plight.
It's appreciated. The sincerity of your statement actually lands with me, as opposed to most people who like to just be kissing ass with me.
All right, well, I mean, I'm not one of your students and you can't, like, you don't have the power to, like, pass or fail me, so.
Hey, you're right. God, that just makes this interaction so much easier.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a weight off my mind.
Yeah, but, you know, I'm just telling you this because I assumed it would be of great interest. And also, I don't actually know if I necessarily need it to stop, but I would like to know what is happening and why, really. I mean, it wasn't very pleasant until, because, you know, it was actually kind of terrifying. You know, I've never really been in a war zone because I, like, lived in the ruins of what was left after the war, but I'm not really accustomed to war zones.
Well, especially somewhere like that, if anything is coming from there, it's going to be very highly charged with a lot of unpleasant emotions. War is one of the worst sort of scenarios to end up in for anybody. My condolences for whatever experiences you've gone through as a result
Thanks.
of all of that.
Thanks. But, okay.
Regrettably, I do not have too much more time to devote to this, but please feel free to check in with me at a later time. And
Thanks.
I will help
Do you have, like, an address that I could write to you? Because, you know,
Yeah,
myself and my
I have some.
companions are investigating and exploring and, you know,
I would be happy to do so. And sort
Okay.
of gives you, writes piece of parchment, gives it to you, and you have that available to you to send a missive at any given time.
great.
It's right around this time that you all, in your respective areas with the different people you've been talking to, feel a kind of trembling begin to emanate out along from the earth around you.
Oh, and we all feel it,
You all feel it at all of your different
including the
areas.
professors.
Yes,
Okay.
like this is a thing happening everywhere.
Oh,
There is a moment of like anyone who is still like outside. You look out in the distance for where you are seeing where the archipelago of volcanic islands are. And the farthest one, with a volcano that was said to be dormant a while ago, currently has smoke and steam coming out of it right now.
oop.
And that is where we're going to end today's session.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I hope this professor lives because I need them.
It's based off of many an aggrieved professor who I've enjoyed in my life.
Yeah.
Just like I don't have it, try the combination of Tallahassee from what was it, Zombieland, being like, do you know how hard I can punch, that kind of energy, but put that in a professor's body. That's effectively what that person is. But
Understandable.
thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been session 5, Lands Tremble and Burn, for Fragments of Loss, our Rangers of a Broken World campaign. I'm gonna go around and let folks say who they are, where, and one thing we can find them in, and then I will pass it over to our fantastic producer Mare to give us the little sign off for everything. But first off, gonna go with now that the overlay has changed, Sebastian first.
Yeah, hello, I'm Sebastian. I use they, them pronouns. I've been playing Keldrenith, who also uses they, them pronouns. You can find me everywhere at Sebastian UA, and my website is sebastianua.ca because despite my accent, I am based in Canada. In terms of actual play, you can find me in Roads Uncharted, which is a podcast that new episodes release every Friday evening. So check it out. It's a Genesis actual play. Thank you.
Ooh, Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis.
I've always wanted to try out Genesis.
Oh, it's super fun. Super fun.
I've heard
I
it's
will
really good.
noted. Okay.
I feel like I've just been invited to something I didn't realize. Anyways,
Good chance. Yeah.
go Gena.
Yeah,
you're
honestly,
up.
but like my scheme is to like ask my GM to see if there's any available like guest spots and you could try it out if you're interested. Yeah.
Excellent. Gena, you're up.
Yeah.
Gena, you're up.
Hi, I'm Gena. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Blue Sky at Gena Than. I'm not sure currently when any of the things I'm in are coming back. It will be announced on channels when I get back, so check me out on Blue Sky.
Fantastic. Last but not least, Amber.
Hi, my name is Amber and I use she, they pronouns, and I've been playing Azura, who uses she, they pronouns, the title navigator. You can find me over on my channel at analog_amber here on Twitch. This week I will be raising money for Stream for a Cause, which is a 501c3 organization that helps provide funding and education to grassroots organizations all over the world to help make sure that they can keep supporting their communities. So if you like to support charity endeavors, we'd love to have you.
Fantastic. And I have been Angela Lemos Mogrovejo. I use she, they pronouns. And yes, she, they pronouns. And I am been your conductor, your GM for this series, for this session and for the rest of the series. Because if someone takes over my spot, things have gone horribly wrong for me. But you can catch me normally on Thursdays over on Valdrian's channel, where we are playing in Daughters of Io, a Girl by Moonlight series, where I have been playing a trans egg who has been having a lot of feelings and a lot of decisions have been made in this last session. Currently, this week we'll be on break, but starting next week we'll be back on normally Thursdays, 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. EST over on Valdrian's channel. We have a fantastic cast over there, and our GM is amazing, so please check us out. And with that, passing it over to Mare.
Hey, hi everybody. It is me, Mare, your voice behind the curtain. Just going over some lovely, amazing things that we've going on the channel right now. If you have not been aware, besides Trans Lifeline that we're raising money for throughout the month of June, we are also raising money for Lambda Legal with a crap ton of charity games. One of which is Pride and Wrath, a D&D 5e game that is premiering tomorrow. It's going to be 2 episodes. On Thursdays for the rest of the month, we have Under Blue Moon, which is at 5:30 Pacific. That is episode 2. We have our regular Horizons call game at 3 p.m. Pacific. Maybe Tales from the Loop. I don't know what's going on. Gena, I don't know what's going on either. But that's going to be, if it does go on, it's going to be at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Cursed Captains of Cthulhu. Wild cast right there. Abhishek is in there, who just joined us for the last 2 sessions here. It's fucking ridiculous. They are chaos beans. But that's going to be at 3 p.m. Pacific on Sundays. And of course, we're wrapping back around to Fragments of Loss. And on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific, we have our Gate Night. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We are going to be rating Neon Lights Roleplay. Please go give them some love over there. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.